I have been looking forward to interviewing you for a long time because I saw you once. I mean, I've seen you a million times on War Room, but one time you were breaking down some really fundamental, interesting economic issues. And I said, this guy knows how to explicate, like explicating scripture. You can either do it or you're not good at it. And economics is the same thing. When you're going to lay it all out, you were making something I thought very, very difficult to truly understand. You're shown all these charts, and I loved it. And I thought, I got to get Dave on the show. Well, that's been a while. And now I'm bringing you on for a slightly different topic. And that is really the economics and the morality, because economics and morality are inextricably tied together, of immigration, but with particularity to H-1B, temporary foreign labor, the importation thereof, and also the fact that it's never really temporary, and how that affects, one, our economy, and two, where is the moral nexus there? Where does morality come to play in this? So my first question is really just, I'm going to go straight to this affordability issue, and then we're going to tease things out. How does H-1B and the mass importation of temporary foreign workers affect affordability for the American workforce, both blue and white collar? Not just low-paying jobs, but blue and white collar, middle-class America, small-town America. Tell me how that works.
Yep, good. Well, let me start off so anyone who doesn't understand economics gets the main point, the relation between capitalism and freedom and wage rates and human happiness and flourishing. And so roughly all of human history, everyone made $1,000 a year maximum for all of human history. Until 1776. And then the Freedom Initiative kicked off. It's a combination of the Enlightenment reason and the Judeo-Christian religious tradition, right? And so economic growth began, and we mentioned Deidre McCloskey. That's an outstanding book if somebody wants to really go deep on this thing. But at 1800, we made a social choice to choose the free market system, which means using the price system. And everybody thought Adam Smith was nuts, right? How in the world can you run an economy if you don't have a central planner and a dictator? You got to have a dictator to plan things so it goes right, right? Wrong. That's what kept all of human history at $1,000 a year per capita. And go out to gapminder.org. And there's a beautiful bunch of bouncing balls for 200 years, every country on the earth. Gapminder.org. We can do this, a deep dive next time. But every kid ought to watch that. And you'll see all of human history starting at zero. And then massive growth starting at about 1800. And guess what? At the end of that time series at 2024, you got a bunch of yellow balls that are richer than everybody else, with life expectancies way higher than everybody else. And guess what? They're all Christian. And they're all from, roughly speaking, Western Europe. Okay? Now, this gets to your question. So how did that happen? It wasn't just price system. You had to also have the precursors in. I'm Protestant. I went to Princeton Seminary before I did my PhD in economics, right? Doesn't matter. The Catholics came up with human rights language in about 1300, not in the Bible, right? That took a long. Augustine came up with just war, 400 AD, 1300. You got Aristotle and smart Muslims back then. You had Muslim Averroes and Avicenna, and you had Maimonides on the Jewish front, all talking together. Since then, not so hot in the Islamic world when it comes to universities and thought and freedom. And so in the West, we laid the foundation for what? Private property rights, human rights, the free market system, and all that worked together. And it led to explosive economic growth. So your question, when it comes to illegal immigration in particular, it's a violation of the most fundamental ethics and morality, religious or not. You can't violate the law. If you do not have the rule of law, you're going to be making $1,000 a year per capita. And just look at any country on earth. Right now, Somalia is in the news. I love everybody. Everybody's made in the image of God. I want everybody to do well. But if you don't put these things on paper, right? Property rights, the rule of law, a constitution, your country will not do well. And they're not doing well because they don't have them. And so everybody comes over here. I just heard with Mom Donnie's win, he's going to offer even more free stuff to everybody. But guess how much it costs to educate one kid in the New York City public school system this year? $42,000 per kid, right? So you come over here, you're an illegal immigrant, you make $40,000 a year, you got 2 kids in the public schools, that's $84,000. You're upside down negative, and you didn't run that question by the American people. Are you willing to pay for this? And the young people right now, let me just tell you right now, the young people are not in a happy mood, right? They can't buy a house till they're 40 years old. They can't get good jobs. We're hiring H-1B workers. On the Bannon show a few weeks back, we had a woman do a beautiful podcast on H-1Bs. And a little striking finding there, 72% of H-1Bs are coming from India. Only 13% from China. Now, how many people know that? And in India, 250,000 H-1B were processed in the madrasas sector in one building. 250,000. That's 3 times higher than the congressional cap limit on H-1Bs. So the Indian press, Dave Brat, no, he's not used official statistics. No,
that's
they're
not
official
true.
statistics.
I will back up the statistics, and I will say this, that those caps are phony because universities, NGOs, anything basically that's a nonprofit, it's uncapped. And so they uncap things all the time, but hundreds of thousands of H-1Bs are coming in. But let's drill down on this. So Dave, because what I'm really interested in understanding this. Okay, this is my thesis, and I talk about this all the time. We supposedly have a free market in America, supposedly. And we have, I'm going to call it a labor market or labor pool and a job market or a job pool. And for the job markets in America, Americans are limited because we want to work for American companies in America. We don't want to go to India or China or anywhere else. The job market is limited to companies in America, the jobs in America. Now, it's not static, it fluctuates, but essentially it's got to be in these shores, and that's the only, that whatever that top number is, that's the total number of jobs available. So it's kind of fixed. I don't know the economic language, okay? But then on the other hand, we have a labor market or a labor pool, and that's what business and especially multinational corporations I'm thinking of, that's their market from which to hire workers for their jobs in America. And now, over the past, say, 30 years, the labor market in America is no longer Americans in America, so they have to compete for hiring the best. It's 8 billion people in the world. I know there's kids, I know that, but I mean, billions of people. Direct question, really, really specific. Is government in partnership with multinational American corporations, primarily and university systems, flooding the labor market with foreigners? Is that a free market or a controlled economy?
Yeah, absolutely not. We don't have free markets at all anymore, right?
But let's just stick right now to this labor and job market that I'm putting before you. Is that free?
Yep. I'm going to stick right to it. It's not free because the Magnificent Seven, right? The big tech bros, the 7 gigantic tech firms, Google and Apple and all them, they compose 40% of the S&P 500, the 500 biggest stocks. So they're 40% of the entire major stock market in this country. So to think you got free markets, and what do these guys all want? and they own Congress. That's why I'm going about it this way. They own Congress. Every single congressman, especially if you just look if they got golf courses and hotels, and they're going to vote for cheap labor every day. So the answer to your question is, do we have a free market? Of course not. It's totally violated by big power, big money. The rest of the world all wants to ship their folks here. Everybody wants to come here, of course, because of our benefits. I just mentioned the New York City school system. And so, no, there's nothing approximating a free market. The minimum wage isn't a free market. All of the benefits, right? No one's running that mighty America. In Minnesota, you got a Somali crisis going on right now with what? $12 billion reported by the New York Times corruption just in one state that we know of.
So let me focus on this. I don't know, in 2000, in the 90s, we were told that offshoring manufacturing, it's no big deal. You know, with the loss of 90,000 factories in small town and middle-sized America, that's no big deal. The 5 million plus jobs that went, that's no big deal. We're going to be a service economy. Today, for the last 10, 15 years, all of the service jobs have gone to India primarily. So millions of service jobs. So we're supposed to hey, we're going to transition. You learn to code. All the coding jobs are over there. We're going to be a service economy. That never made sense to me. All the service jobs are going over there. And we're still bringing millions. It's not the 85,000. It's not even 200,000 because it's a massive number way beyond that, which I won't go into detail. My audience understands. It's in the 100,000s, millions. This, we're told that we won't clean toilets or pick strawberries. We're told to code, but they send the coding jobs away. We're told we're going to be a service economy. They send those away. There is, is there a job left that they will allow Americans to do? So my question is the flourishing of families and our economy and rebuilding it so that it's built on a rock, is that going to depend with all the other things, but seriously depend on our shutting down the millions of immigrants that they're bringing in every year and bringing service jobs back to America as well as manufacturing jobs? But let's focus on the importation of labor.
Yeah, no, that's your analysis. That's spot on. And in economics, of course, there is a win-win from free trade, but there's an asterisk after the argument always. And it's that the gains from trade, all the winners are supposed to recompensate the losers within your system for their gains. That hasn't happened, right? So everybody loses their jobs. There's no compensation going back. I'm really not even in favor of that anymore. Because with a minimum wage argument, it's a trade-off.
No, forget minimum wage. It's just stupid.
Yeah, but it's a trade-off between having more people at lower wages working and getting the skills as young people. And that's what we're missing out on, right? That ladder where you get this basic skills, you start off minimum wage, you work your way up, you get skilled up. And then, the coding and all this kind of thing, right? Everybody knows the stories. We're training in folks, a lot of them, right? China and India stories, to replace our workers.
But we're still being told they've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years that
right.
Actually, one of the most lunatic things I hear is H-1B visa workers expand job opportunities for Americans. And I feel so gaslit. I know it's a lie.
No,
so I'm not really gaslit, but I'm thinking, and this kind of moves to President Trump, because I'm hoping that we win in 2026. I am concerned about that. And I think the demoralization of MAGA, because MAGA gets, whether it's in the gut or just plain old common sense, that if you have 10 million foreign laborers in America competing for the same jobs as Americans, and they're not 10 million more jobs, or 20 million for that case.
And there are not.
That
right.
we're going to be in unemployment. Real unemployment is in the 17 million range, or maybe more.
Yep. Yep.
From an economic standpoint, as a former economics professor, is saturating the labor market, driving down wages, and isn't that an economic fact or principle, a saturated labor market?
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. Every CEO is on the pro-immigration, if not illegal immigration bandwagon, like you've been saying. They're all bringing in infinite workers. Now Trump shut down the border, but there's all sorts of exceptions. You just named a million of those. But of course, and then they say we don't have skilled workers. That's not true. All the latest H-1B evidence shows we got plenty of skilled workers. They're lying, cheating, stealing, and scamming. It's in India, in that Madras thing. They're bringing in people who aren't skilled up at all. And what they really mean is they want even cheaper labor. And what's sick about it is, and these CEOs need a moral gut check. Here's where the morality comes in. They're willing to abuse the H-1B foreign workers and have them scared stiff of being deported and working under the thumb, much less being given any rights to work here.
And that's really an important issue. It's a really important issue.
The biggest issue I just want to mention here is what are all the CEOs investing in? They're not investing in human capital. They're investing in capital and tech, but they'll never invest in their local K-12 education. Instead, they're building, windmills and sunscreen captures on their roofs and planting evergreen trees. That's where they do their public goodwill instead of skilling up the kids.
It's worse than that, Dave. Microsoft committed to educating, I'm not going to get the numbers exactly correct here, something like 30, 40, 50 million Indians. Microsoft is committed to giving tech education, AI, whatever, coding education to India. And other companies are following along with that. They're building a massive education structure but they've never put that money into American students.
No.
But what I brought that up was to Steve Bannon, and he said, do not rely on big tech to do anything right. We got to do this without them.
No.
But let me say,
right.
Dave, it's not just big tech, because the insurance companies, all our data, all our insurance and our medical data, it's all in India. All of our our banking data is in India. They have very little controls on fraud in India, as we all know.
Yeah.
So it's our customer service, millions of jobs. Our tech support, millions of jobs. Our insurance companies, millions of jobs. These jobs have been moved over. To me, that's low-hanging fruit. Thinking about 2026, if President Trump, if somebody would let him hear this kind of an idea, to move a factory back from China, that's a big ask. It's expensive. It should be done. But to move the computer monitor or the computer screen and a telephone from India, 5-10 million people doing customer service and service jobs, coding over there, back home, it's just packing up some computers.
Yeah, and let me just get to the main point with Bannon, right? Trump's bringing back $10 to $15 trillion in capital investment, right? So that's good. That'll enhance the wage rates of Americans, but he's got to do the rest of it. But the point is, Congress hasn't passed one law. Thune in the Senate and Mike Johnson in the House isn't doing one thing right now, right? And it's not their fault. It's the fault of the people listening, the people at home. The church doesn't vote. The people aren't voting. You keep putting in the same people that vote for big business, that are funded by big business. And what result do you think you're going to get? Right? So Trump ought to do a 10-year moratorium, as Bannon says every day. No more immigration of any type. But that'll only work if the people take action. And my friend Rosemary Jenkins, she's at Immigration Accountability Project, right? iaproject.org. You want to take some concrete steps? Go check out that, iaproject.org. They're the only group in the country that holds the Congress accountable for these immigration disasters, and I'm on their board. But until the people
I just
speak,
had her on the other day.
they're not
She's
taking
lovely.
it serious. They're not. Yep, they're not taking it serious yet. The American people are just asleep at the wheel. It's like, well, it'll go by, it'll pass. Nope.
But
it's not
where
gonna
is
pass.
President Trump? Does he not understand the economics of bringing back service jobs from India and cutting off the saturation, the flooding of our labor pool? I'm not feeling, my gut is not, I'm just not seeing the evidence that he understands this. You know, the $100,000 thing, that's all well and good, but that's not going to change what the immigration flood. It's not going to reduce it that much. It really is not. So
But he understands. Yeah, he understands all of it. But MAGA had an out-of-body heart attack when they saw who was sitting behind the president at his inauguration. The big tech bros, not the MAGA guys that elected him. And that is the issue right there, right? So it's election time. The Democrats, you just see the corruption, right? They got $20 billion falling out of the sky, going to every Democrat get out the vote thing. That's in one state, $12 billion. The Republicans don't cheat like that. We don't have all the fraud in the voting system and all that. We don't have money. The grassroots, God bless us all, because that's what I am, but they're not donors. And so they don't get the voice at election time. But they vote. That's why it's the only opportunity. See, you can talk crazy. Trump's going to do the best he can, right, to get the House set up. And he's listening to all parties, but he's trying to rustle up some money. He's trying to shut down the border. But yeah, this is when all the rich companies across the country are on his case. Hey, we need more cheap labor. You're going to crush us. The economy's weak. The job market, they say, it's a little wobbly right now. Front page of Wall Street Journal today.
Dave, let me ask it this way.
Yep.
If I were, I don't know, Tsarina for 6 months, okay, I get my druthers, right? And I shut down because I've been calling for a moratorium for a long time. I'm 100%. I'm more for a 20 to 40 year moratorium, but I'll take anything I can get for right now. If I shut down immigration, if I sent back anyone who is eligible at this point and let the rest of the H-1Bs, L-1s, and all the rest OPTs time out,
right,
and sent them home, and their birthright babies, and I also say brought home, just forget the manufacturing right now for the sake of the illustration, brought home, say taxed if corporations, if they offshore service jobs that can be done in America. So that would be like 5 million jobs probably tomorrow that came home. If all that happened, something on that scale, what would happen to the American economy and what would happen to middle class America?
Well, most importantly, this goes back to kind of the moral piece. You get your self-esteem back and your pride back in America, an American, and you probably have a 10% wage bump immediately. But then over time, that's going to accumulate. And then you're telling the firms, hey, guess what? Here's what you're going to deal with. You're going to deal with these people called American citizens. And if you want a labor force, you better skill them up. And they'll skill them up. It's in their self-interest. But if they can do it cheap on the side route, that's what they're going to do. But that's what we have to do, what you're saying. We have to force the business folk to skill up and train in American workers. And if you got firms in your own area, write op-eds in your newspapers and put pressure on it. Say, I don't see you spending a dime on our local K-12 schools, right? In Chicago, the literacy rate is 12%. 12% of the poor third graders in Chicago can read.
Would our economy grow, though, if we brought the jobs back and Americans were working again and the foreigners that were here temporarily for labor were sent home?
Yeah, absolutely. But don't miss this human capital. If your kids can't read, they got no future, right? So you got to teach your own kids in this country. If you're a kid, right? And I was the dean of a business school. I taught economics for 20 years, and I sent kids to the Career Services Center, whatever. Any kid that took the initiative and came in early as a freshman or sophomore, and they could have just done it as a senior in high school, take the initiative, go learn what skills they got to get a job, they're going to do fine. Right? But they've been spiritually crushed. They've been morally crushed. They've been economically crushed. The housing market is 40 years old before they can enter the housing market now. What do you think that does to family formation? What do you think that does to helping men find women and women find men?
You're drawing a picture here that I think a lot of us understand because it's really foundational. Sometimes the foundational truths are the simplest and most straightforward because it's common sense and it's the scripture, right? And what I guess you're drawing this picture, but everything in that picture is a picture of human flourishing within America. That seems to me that's about making America great again means if it's not making laborers, white and blue collar workers great again, if we have to depend upon Chinese students or Indian coders who are not even defined as coders, I mean their skill set is abysmal. But if that is what we need to make